Hi there strikers, on today's we will get to know more about the well-known prophet on the world, named Nostradamus. Here is the first part of his journey, so let's start. Michel de Nostradame, usually Latinized as Nostradamus, was a French astrologer, physician and reputed seer, who is best known for his book Les Prophéties, a collection of 942 poetic quatrains allegedly predicting future events. The book was first published in 1555. Nostradamus was born on either 14 or the 21st of December 1503 in Saint-Rémy de Provence, France, where his claimed birthplace still exists, and baptized Michel. He was one of at least 9 children of Notary Jaume, or Jacques, de Nostradame and Renier, granddaughter of Pierre de Saint-Rémy, who worked as a physician in Saint-Rémy. Jaume's family had originally been Jewish, but his father, Cresquus, a grain and money dealer based in Avignon, had converted to Catholicism around 1459–60, taking the Christian name Pierre and the surname Nostradame, Our Lady, the saint on whose day his conversion was solemnized. The earliest ancestor who can be identified on the paternal side is Astruge of Carcassonne, who died about 1420. Michel's known siblings included Delphine, Jean, c. 1507–1577, Pierre, Hector, Louis, Bertrand, Jean II, born 1522, and Antoine, born 1523. Little else is known all about his childhood, although there is a persistent tradition that he was educated by his maternal great-grandfather Jean de Street-Remy, a tradition which is somewhat undermined by the fact that the latter disappears from the historical record after 1504, when their child was only 1 year old. At the age of 14, Nostradamus entered the University of Avignon to study for his baccalaureate. After little more than a year, when he would have studied the regular trivium of grammar, rhetoric and logic rather than the later quadrivium of geometry, arithmetic, music, and astronomy/astrology, he was forced to leave Avignon when the university closed its doors during an outbreak of the plague. After leaving Avignon, Nostradamus, by his own account, traveled the countryside for 8 years from 1521 researching herbal remedies. In 1529, after some years as an apothecary, he entered the University of Montpellier to study for a doctorate in medicine. He was expelled shortly afterwards by the student procurator, Guillaume Rondelet, when it was discovered that he had been an apothecary, a manual trade expressly banned by the university statutes, and had been slandering doctors. The expulsion document, Pour Montpellier, Register S2 folio 87, still exists in the faculty library. However, some of his publishers and correspondents would later call him Doctor. After his expulsion, Nostradamus continued working, presumably still as an apothecary, and became famous for creating a rose pill that purportedly protected against the plague. In 1531, Nostradamus was invited by Jules Caesar Scaliger, a leading Renaissance scholar, to come to Agen. He married a woman of uncertain name, possibly Henriette d'Incourse, with whom he had 2 children. In 1534 his wife and children died, presumably from the plague. After their deaths, he continued to travel, passing through France and possibly Italy. On his return in 1545, he assisted the prominent physician Louis in his fight against a major plague outbreak in Marseille, and then tackled further outbreaks of disease on his own in Salon de Provence and in the regional capital, Aix-en-Provence. Finally, in 1547, he settled in Salon de Provence in the house which exists today, where he married a rich widow named Anne Ponsard, with whom he had 6 children, 3 daughters and 3 sons. Between 1556 and 1567 he and his wife acquired a 1/13 share in the huge canal project, organized by Adam de Crapin, to create the Canal de Crapin to irrigate the largely waterless Salon de Provence and the nearby desert de la Croix from the river Durance. After another visit to Italy, Nostradamus began to move away from medicine and toward the occult. Following popular trends, He wrote an almanac for 1550, for the first time in print, Latinizing his name to Nostradamus. He was so encouraged by the almanac's success that he decided to write one or more annually. Taken together, they are known to have contained at least 6,338 prophecies, as well as at least 11 annual calendars, all of them starting on the 1st of January and not, as is sometimes supposed, in March. It was mainly in response to the almanacs that the nobility and other prominent persons from far away soon started asking for horoscopes and psychic advice from him, though he generally expected his clients to supply the birth charts on which these would be based, rather than calculating them himself as a professional astrologer would have done. When obliged to attempt this himself on the basis of the published tables of the day, he frequently made errors and failed to adjust the figures for his client's place or time of birth. He then began his project of writing a book of 1,000 mainly French quatrains, which constitute the largely undated prophecies for which he is most famous today. Feeling vulnerable to opposition on religious grounds, however, he devised a method of obscuring his meaning by using Virgilianized syntax, word games and a mixture of other languages such as Greek, Italian, Latin, and Provençal for technical reasons connected with their publication in 3 installments. The publisher of the third and last installment seems to have been unwilling to start it in the middle of a century, or book of 100 verses. The last 58 quatrains of the 7th century have not survived in any extant edition. The quatrains, published in a book titled Les Prophéties, the prophecies, received a mixed reaction when they were published. Some people thought Nostradamus was a servant of evil, a fake, or insane, while many of the elite evidently thought otherwise. Catherine de' Medici, wife of King Henry II of France, was one of Nostradamus's greatest admirers. After reading his almanacs for 1555, which hinted at unnamed threats to the royal family, she summoned him to Paris to explain them and to draw up horoscopes for her children. At the time, he feared that he would be beheaded, but by the time of his death in 1566, Queen Catherine had made him counselor and physician in ordinary to her son, the young King Charles IX of France. Some accounts of Nostradamus's life state that he was afraid of being persecuted for heresy by the Inquisition, but neither prophecy nor astrology fell in this bracket, and he would have been in danger only if he had practiced magic to support them. In 1538 he came into conflict with the church in Agen after an inquisitor visited the area looking for anti-Catholic views. His brief imprisonment at Marignan in late 1561 was solely because he had violated a recent royal decree by publishing his 1562 almanac without the prior permission of a bishop. By 1566, Nostradamus' gout, which had plagued him painfully for many years and made movement very difficult, turned into edema. In late June he summoned his lawyer to draw up an extensive will bequeathing his property plus 3,444 crowns, around $300,000 today, minus a few debts, to his wife pending her remarriage, in trust for her sons pending their 25th birthdays and her daughters pending their marriages. This was followed by a much shorter codicil. On the evening of the 1st of July, he is alleged to have told his secretary Jean de Chavigny, "You will not find me alive at sunrise." The next morning he was reportedly found dead, lying on the floor next to his bed and a bench, presage 141, originally 152, for November 1567, as posthumously edited by Chavigny to fit what happened. He was buried in the local Franciscan chapel in Salon, part of it now incorporated into the restaurant La Brocquerie, but reinterred during the French Revolution in the Collégiale, Saint-Laurent, where his tomb remains to this day. And this is the first part of Nostradamus' biography. See you on next video.